Moin! Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's Mace, the best host on the West Coast. And today, we are checking out this video, how anyone, including you and yours truly, can read German. Interesting. Obviously, English is a Germanic language, and the roots and similarities are all very apparent when you look at it. That being said, there's obviously big differences. Let's get into it. Make sure to like and subscribe. That's in order. Of course, I am joking. There's also memberships on the channel. Yada, yada, yada.
This one's for lovers of English as much as lovers of German. German is hard. Learning it means studying an array of rules,
Da.
mastering 3 grammatical genders, and knowing whether you're using the nominative, accusative, genitive, or dative.
Yeah.
But in this video, we're ignoring all of that. I'm going to give you some simple tricks that are going to help your chances of understanding the German words written in front of you, whether they're on a billboard, a menu, or in a movie. By the end, we'll be able to decipher this gibberish to the untrained eye into something that any English speaker will be able.
I don't know. He's giving me a lot of credit here that I can understand something that fast. But I should give myself some credit, maybe. Let's check it out.
To understand. No prior German knowledge required. Even if you don't want to learn German, do keep watching though, because the reasons why these tricks work tell us a lot about our own language. German and English have history. Los geht's. Let's go.
Los geht's.
So let's get that mystery document back up. The key to decoding this is mainly going to lie in swapping letters in and out to make these words look more like English. I go into exactly why it's possible and what it's got to do with all of these guys later, but the key point is that English and German are part of the same language family. They share a common ancestor that they both developed from, and by retracing that development, you can find consistencies in how they differ. So for example, where English developed a th sound in certain words, German went off in a slightly different direction and ended up with a d sound instead. So where English has 3, German has drei. Where English has thunder, German has Donner. English thing is German ding, and where English has the, German has seemingly endless numbers of words of various genders and cases, all of which basically mean the and begin with D. And while we're here, actually, German has du and dein, which are 2 words that have the same ancestry as the age-old English words thou and thine. So there's our first trick. Swapping the D in a German word for TH can very often get you closer to the English equivalent. Now, linguistically speaking, the D sound is very similar to the T sound. The processes in our mouths to produce these sounds are extremely similar. Just a tiny tweak makes a T a D. And that's why you can also
Ta-da!
often swap a German T sound with TH as well, particularly in the middle or at the end of words like Mutter, which is mother, and Wert, which is worth. This similarity between T and...
Okay, so D for TH and TT for TH. Okay.
And D sounds also opens up another letter swap opportunity, this time between the 2 languages. German T's can often be swapped for English D's. Take a look at these pairs.
Traumschiff surprise. Dreamship surprise. Yes.
Dream, daughter, and dear all have German equivalents beginning with T.
Tier.
Tier is actually the German word for animal, but that is precisely what deer originally meant in English before we decided to make it mean one animal in particular. In fact, the Dutch word for animal is still deer. Dutch very often provides a satisfying midpoint between German and English, a bit like it does geographically, I suppose. Now back to German, the D-swap works elsewhere in some words too. Check out under and Lieder becoming unter and Leiter. Incidentally, Leiter also means ladder. It's all D's and T's again. Now, while we're throwing T's around, that reminds me of another good swap. This time, instead of taking the T's out, we're going to slip them.
I feel like I need like an information card with me with all of his tricks and tips, and then I can just bring that with me to Germany, or at least if I'm like at a German cafe. Kaffee und Milch, bitte.
Them in the place of the s sound made by either one or two S's. Check out how neatly German Wasser becomes English water.
Wasser.
The German word for what is was, and if you apply two of our tricks to German das, you get its English equivalent, that. And that, incidentally, in Old English, like das does in German, was the neuter version of the. So it works then as well. And another bonus fact, there are actually some German dialects that use that and dat with a T at the end instead of an S, as does our friend from the Low Countries, Dutch. Ooh, and let's bring in that most Germanic of characters, this fat, wiggly fellow.
That's the sound or
the SZ. Although its name literally means SZ or SZ, it actually replaces a double S. So if you see it, sub in a double S, then try swapping it with a T. For example, German Fuss becomes English foot with a bit of imagination applied to the vowels. Now let's fling some more T's around, because adding a T can also help us solve.
This is still pretty complicated. Maybe it's just because I worked today and I'm got some brain fog going on, I guess, maybe. It's really interesting though, like how you can see that relationship between the two languages, that you can swap out certain letters. And if you're looking at a sentence, a German sentence, once you understand some basic rules of the language, I feel like you can begin at least to intuitively infer what that sentence is going to mean, or what that sentence does mean, especially if you're reading it as opposed to hearing it. There's obviously a big difference between the written word and the spoken word, but it's all super, super interesting so far.
All of these words, by subbing it in for the ts sound, usually expressed in German with a Z, we can get much closer to the English two, this time the number, and tongue. And there are plenty of others. Right, more of these to come, but I realize it's a lot to take in with all of these consonants flying around. I've become somewhat...
It's a lot to take in with all these consonants flying around my brain. My brain compartments, my brain departments, all of the workers in there are getting frazzled and running around the store saying, oh my God, there's too many customers, there's too many customers. Brain cells are floating around.
Consonant incontinent, haven't I? So let's take a break to understand why these tricks work when they do, which I admit is not 100% of the time, but the hit rate is really good. We'll get to the cool reason just as soon as I've introduced you to this video's sponsor, Squarespace.
Squarespace. If you need to make a website, check out Squarespace.
Squarespace empowers individuals to create their on-site space and ready to just something to do with all of these guys. Well, what did I mean? Well, what do Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood and others have in common? The answer is that they're all fairy tales featured in the collections of Germany's famous Brothers Grimm, Wilhelm and Jakob. By the way, brother is another word that our tricks work on,
Bruder.
because you can just swap the D in the middle of Bruder in German for a TH and you basically get brother. Anyway, Jakob here is our hero, because as well as working with seinem Bruder to bring together and reimagine European fairy tales, he was also a prolific linguist. So I mentioned earlier how English and German are from the same language family, the Germanic languages. In fact, more specifically, they're both Western Germanic languages. And Jakob Grimm was one of the driving forces behind an ingenious theory about how Germanic languages developed together, known as Grimm's Law. Long, long ago, probably in the first millennium BC, the Germanic languages went through a consonant shift that moved their consonant sounds.
Lucy, get down, please. Get out. Sorry, cat problems.
Sounds away from those of Proto-Indo-European. That's the ancient ancestor Germanic languages share with other language families like the Romance languages, the Celtic languages, Slavic languages, and others like Sanskrit, for example. But the language that became modern High German, which is the most widely spoken form of German and the one we're talking about, went through an extra consonant shift that other Germanic languages, like English, did not. That left German with different consonant sounds to English, but
I got to get back on my Duolingo series of German language learning, and I know people have commented it's not the best way to learn a language, it's not the most efficient, and it's going to be leaving out certain variables and certain rules about the language that are going to be detrimental later on in your learning curve, but still, I think better than nothing.
Those differences are remarkably consistent, and that's why we can often swap them in and out and get from one language to the other. So now you know the theory, let's get on to some more tricks. Another way that English and German diverged from one another is with the sounds p and f. And it means that a lot of f sounds in German written with
F.
F, a double F, or PF, f, can be swapped with a P to get you closer to the English. For example, German Pfeffer is English pepper. Pfeifer is pipe. They're both double whammies. But German auf has the same linguistic root as English up, and German Hoffe is English hope. There are so many of these as well. Schiff and ship, Apfel and apple. This one really does work. So remember, when the English P, the Germans F. Now the next swap is a piece of cake, or in German, ein Stück Kuchen. You can often sub this CH in a German word for a K and get closer to the English, like Kuchen and cake. Also, German machen is English make, although it also means do as well. Suchen is related to English seek, and a German Buch is an English book. And again, actually, once you do these swaps, you basically get to the Dutch version of these words. Check out machen. So Dutch viewers, do feel free to use these cheats with your own language too. German ich becomes Dutch ik, both of which mean I, and incidentally, Old English for I, as in me, was ich, or something like it. My pronunciation of Old English is always dreadful. Anyway, that's all a Dutch distraction, because I was just going to point out that German words that begin with a K often have an English equivalent beginning with C. Cake is a good example of that one as well. A German Kuh is a cow, Kreuz is a cross, and lots of others are really obvious, like Kultur and culture. You're unlikely to struggle with ones like that. Now, any more for any more? Yes. Hanging out at the end of the alphabet are W and Y, and they hold the key to another couple of handy switcheroos you can do. We're going to try swapping them in for German Gs. Let's take the German word Tag. So,
Guten Tag? Well, that would be good afternoon? Yeah, good afternoon. But what does Tag by itself mean, though?
We already know what to do with the T. We're swapping it for a D, aren't we? Remember dream and daughter? And now let's try, as I just suggested, removing the G and putting in a Y. We end up with
day.
Day. What's the German for day? It's Tag. Another fascinating historical fact, the Old English word for day...
That's interesting too, because well, Guten Morgen, though, does it literally translate to morning or something else?
Was this. Notice anything? It has a G at the end, although it was...
This video is making me feel very stupid. I think it's just because it was a long day. I should have went for something a little bit lighter for this video. Maybe some German memes or something. But let's continue.
It was actually pronounced more like a Y. It was something like die. Again, my Old English is dreadful. Anyway, Some more G and Y swaps. German Weg is English way. German sagen is English say. And if the Y doesn't work, just give a W a go. German Bogen is English bow. Oh, and I've just thought of another good one, actually. A lot of B's in German are V's in English. Take a look at the German words for live and indeed for liver. Also to give, which is geben, and to stick things together is kleben, which is a relative of English cleave. Cleave is a fascinating word because it can both mean to separate and to put together. Have you ever noticed that? Little doggy. Had enough of these yet? Well, don't make me stop before I get to my triple letter score trick with CHT. German words containing CHT often have a similar English word with GHT instead. I give you light, both in the sense of the shiny stuff and the stuff that's easy to lift. I also give you night, eight, and sight, and there are others. Ones to watch out for though. Nicht means not rather than night, and you wouldn't be blamed for thinking a knecht was a knight, but it isn't. A knecht is a servant, but in my defence, the words are related. The English knights saw themselves as servants to their sovereign. Right, or should that be Richt? Actually, a German judge is a Richter, and they oversee the administration of Recht, so I think that one sort of counts. Anyway, right, those are all the tools you need to be.
So a breakdown is D's for TH. I want to put this into practice now. I need this on a little card.
A consonant trickster. So let's put them to the test and bring back this from earlier. And if you hadn't already worked out what this is, it does tell you at the top.
So like this is at the bottom there, it's coffee or water, apple cake, some sort of schnitzel with pepper sauce, kebab, probably like Wiener Schnitzel with pepper sauce, apple cake, coffee or water, and creamed carrot soup and bread. Creamed carrot soup and bread, or creamed carrot, that's my guess. Creamed carrot soup and bread. Some sort of schnitzel with pepper sauce, apple cake, and coffee or water. And that's the menu. Food menu, Tagas menu. Day menu, morning. T for D. T for D, so that would be dog. What about the G? G for Y? Yeah. Day. S. Yeah. Day menu.
Top. Tages menu. Let's work our magic on the T and swap it for a D, and the G for a Y, and we get something very close to day's menu. This is a menu of the day's specials. So, what's for starters? Cremige Karottensuppe.
I feel like these ones are pretty easy, actually.
Well, already we see that we can do another G and Y swap in the first word, and we get much closer to the English word creamy. And then we can swap the K at the start of the next word with a C, although I suspect you'd already worked that one out.
I didn't even, yeah. I kind of just, you can kind of these ones intuitively. I am interested about Kalbsschnitzel, or Kalbsschnitzel, and mit Pfeffersauce.
This is creamy carrot soup. Und is just German for and if you need any help with the last word, swap the T at the end for a D, and you can work out that that's bread. The next word is a bit tricky. You probably already know what a schnitzel is, a delicious breaded cutlet. But what about...
So, the K for a C, and the B for V would be... Oh, the double S is the one you want to watch for T. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
What about the start of the word, though? Well, swap the K with a C and the B with a V, and you get calves. Does that look like any English word to you? How about calves? Kalb is the German for veal, the meat of a young cow.
I was going to say that.
A calf. Mit is just the German for with, and we came across Pfeffer earlier. It's our double whammy P swap, giving us pepper. And sauce is conveniently the English spelling. There is a German word for sauce that is extremely similar, but the English, or rather French spelling, is also used. Onto our dessert. It's apple cake. The PF again swapped for a P gives us an apple, then swapping the K for a C and the CH for a K gets us close enough to cake to work it out, like we did earlier on. And then finally to the drink, you actually have a choice of coffee or water. If we swap the K for a C and that double S for a T, although I'm sure the waiter will let you have both if you ask nicely enough. So that's the full menu, and there we have it. What
I appreciate this video fully, and I will need to watch it again.
Basically given you there is a lesson on Germanic consonant shift, dressed up as some top tips for translating German, but they really do work a lot of the time. If you've enjoyed this, I've done a similar thing with French, or check out
very cool. I like it. I like it a lot. I feel like my intuition about the German language and reading certain words has grown from having watched this video, so much appreciation. I thank you guys for the suggestion to watch this video, and of course as well an appreciation to Rob Words. The link for their channel will be in the description, and their video if you want to watch that yourselves, or find any of their other videos. Big ups. All right, we will see you on the flip side. Tschüss.